Hey folks, I'm in Jake's garage.
Yeah, it's a mess.
He thinks it's a mess, but it's actually one of the more organized display of, fishing tackle. You can see where everything is. My garage is a mess. This is pretty.
There's a different standard of mess between the two of us.
Sure. We're getting ready to hit the river, but before we do, I have just a quick install, which Jake's gonna let me use his drill. And basically, I've been doing a series of videos on how to use marking a waypoint, using foot control steering with the Torqeedo Ultralight to hold on that position. This is something that's going to help me get a little bit better accuracy in terms of the GPS. We'll take a look.
Okay.
So, have you done one of these installs?
I've not, but I really want to get one for my Garmin unit that I have.
So, it's a GPS receiver that just helps get greater accuracy of when you mark that waypoint, right, actually showing where you're at.
Yeah.
So,
I actually could have used that this past weekend down at Norman. I was fishing a point, and my boat was telling me I was pointed a different direction from where the waypoint was that I marked, but I was clearly not. So
right. Well, I was out on the bay yesterday, and I think I saw my speed changing pretty drastically. Mm-hmm. Like it was going from, just with the wind drift, I was going 2.3 or 2.4, and then all of a sudden it jumped to 1.9. I didn't change my speed that much.
Right.
Those were, I guess, discrepancies in the accuracy of where the GPS in the head unit, the monitor, thought I was. So okay. I'm hoping this is going to tighten that up a little bit and get more accurate positioning. So
sounds good.
We'll do that install, and then we're going to hit the river, catch some Susquehanna River smallmouth.
Yeah, that needs to be done.
Yep. So I'm going to install this right there, and I just need a hole in the hatch big enough for that to fit through. So what is this, 5/8? That'll work. Just stick that right there. That'll work. Come through. We got a little base here, a little match up to, and then I'll hook it up to this bracket, and that'll plug into the head unit, which is right there, and we'll be good to go. All right, we got that secured on there, and Jake was kind enough to get this part in there, so it's ready for my head unit. All right, Jake, you see that chute right there?
Yeah.
How fast do you think that current is in it?
Probably about 8-9 miles an hour.
All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna film how fast with the new GPS puck, how fast the chute is, that at the end of the day we're gonna have to push back up through. So I'll turn this guy on, and without power, I'm gonna get up to it and just let it drift us through. The right side, and you see, just drifting right now. I'm at 3 mile an hour, 3.4, 3.6, 4.1, 4.7, 4.9, 4.8, 5.7, 6.1, 6.1 mile an hour was our fastest. That's what we got to punch up through, coming back through there. All right, now I'm going to power up and work some of these eddies right below the ledge. So 6.1. Not sure I could paddle 6.1. I've never done it with a pedal drive, and most trolling motors can't handle that. With the 403, I think I could paddle with this boat and add to the 5.7 that the 403 can get. So yeah, you could attain back up that with a ultralight 403. It's going to be easier with this one, with the 1103, because we have up to 7.1 mile per hour top end speed. Let's take a look at Jake coming through.
So that's the chute I came down this morning, going 6.1 mile per hour. I know I've had this boat up to 7.1, so in theory, should be able to advance up at 1 mile an hour. Let's see how it goes.
Well, that was fun. I'm a little bit out of breath, but I definitely wanted to use the paddle in order to maintain my stability pushing up through there. I think it would have done it without there. I'm not totally sure, but I think, you know, certainly having a boat that'll go 7.1 mile per hour, man, I'm getting eaten by bugs everywhere. I got stone flies everywhere. Anyways, yeah, it certainly helped. I couldn't have done it without the motor. It's cool that I can do it with the motor, and you're not doing that with a trolling motor for sure. You need a Torpedo. First one in the boat on a little Z-Man micro finesse jig with a trailer. It's the drop shot Z with the Z. I like it because it holds a lot of scent. We'll go ahead and get him back in. Something that's important in terms of positioning that I want to point out is that I'm working the back side of the eddy. Most people will push as hard as they can to the front edge, and there's actually two boats up there right now. I'm fishing the back half as it's trying to pull you back away from this huge eddy, and it's kind of a tough position to hold in. You got wind pushing you this way, current pulling you that way, and you're trying to fish the last little bit of depth before it gets shallow and speeds up again. So I actually have it, the Torpedo in reverse right now at about 10 or 13 watts. And that's enough to pull me back, you know, to keep me from the wind pushing me up into the middle of it, but not so much that I get sucked down into the next next pool right below me. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Most folks are gonna fish all the way up at the top, all the way up at that ledge, and that's good water, but it's also very pressured. A lot of, you know, it's the obvious spot. And what you want to look for is water that gives the fish everything they want in terms of a feeding opportunity, but the right amount of current to not fight real hard to hold position. And it's one huge eddy, and if you divide the eddy into top, middle, and bottom, because we're in a low stable flow, we're fishing the bottom third. So in order to do that, I'm kind of caught between this water right here, which is speeding up and wants to flush me out the bottom, and the wind that wants to push me into the center. So what I'm doing to maintain position right now, I'm drifting slightly backwards, you can see, but I'm pretty much stopped. You can see from the dot. If I don't have a bearing on there, I'm happy, but I'm about to have a bearing because the wind is pushing me forward, and all I'm doing is making a slight adjustment with the throttle, and I'm just gonna start backwards. I got 7 watts, 10 watts, 13 to 16 is probably too much against this wind. I'll use that much to get me moving in the right direction. And I'm also steering with my feet as needed to turn me more into, turn the stern into the wind that's pushing me forward. So, you know, it sounds complicated, but you figure it out. You watch your depth finder screen, and you pick the stone flies off your ear, and you hold position. So that's it. I'm gonna catch some more. All right, I have snagged up into this whitewater in a spot where there's a lot of foam, and using the motor to zoom up there to get above it is really nice. Snag is out. I still am going to use my paddle to get out of here because I got real close to the whitewater. So Jake's back there following me. We're heading over to a creek mouth just to take a break from the wind. The wind is picking up. Certainly we can handle it with the motors, but I don't know, just time for a break from it. I also think creek mouths are great, really great thing to fish in the springtime. It's where the water warms up the first. A lot of the tributaries are spawning hubs where the fish will stage right at the creek mouth, and when it gets really warm, they take off and go upstream miles and miles and miles in search of good spawning habitat, which they do find. In a lot of years the river will be blown out, but the creeks attached to this river, this huge river, they do the bulk of the reproductive success certain years. On the wood. On the wood, on the creek. Creek wood. I got 2 bites earlier. Ooh, I missed them until I realized that they like the wood. We got warmer water up here. It's 49.7, whereas out in the main river it's I don't know, upper 47, it may be into low 48. So warmer water. I got the Z-Man Streaks with the Z, the little one. I'll get you back in a second. Just on a tungsten bullet weight. So because they're on wood, and the 2 examples of wood that I got bites on were not real obvious, like what's here. I'm gonna try and I'm basically gonna use my side imaging. I'm gonna switch to the whole screen side imaging, and I'm gonna mark mark some examples of wood that I find. Let's cruise along and see what pops up here. So once I get up to 2 miles an hour or so, that's a good speed to go looking for wood. And when I find it, I'm just going to use the cursor here, and I'm going to go over and mark it and then come back to it and fish it. There's a nice one. You can see the trunk, and you can see the split in the Y, and there's the shadow of it. There's some more wood on the other side, some over here. Let's go ahead and get the cursor going, and we're gonna mark that, and maybe hit the upper end of it just to have 2 different points on there. There's the other one. Mark. Yes. Alright. We're gonna exit out of there, and then we're gonna come back to our map, and we got our 2 points. Let's zoom in, and we're gonna use our bearing to circle back to those guys. I'm going to zoom around and fish that log. Alright, and the bearing is getting us set up on it. I'm going to let off on my throttle a little bit. Throw it in reverse just to kind of kill my momentum. And then I can drag that log. We'll see if we get another one. Log jam at the head of a bridge, piling. Always good for a few fish. Got that bobber stop there. Like to cinch it down because it's kind of needling down in these, in the brush pile. All the logs, everything in here. Like to keep that. So I think it's a 3/16 ounce tungsten weight. Keep that sucker pegged.
So we're out here fishing behind these rocks, and kind of holding my boat in the current with using the motor, making small adjustments to the steering, while still trying to fish this calm water up here in front of us, but remaining in the current. That way not to disturb the fish in the calm water.
Threw on a chatterbait. We got a little bit of a front coming through. Thought I'd give him some something moving, and for sure had one respond. I got the jackhammer. It's a gold one, and oh, this big bruiser decided to chomp it. Isn't that pretty? Get some better light on you. It's always nice to see them as it warms up in the spring, hitting moving baits like that. Alright, back she goes. Thank you. So the trailer I use
Sometimes I'll use the, I forget what it's called. It's like the speed craw. Mostly for largemouth, but when I'm smallmouth fishing, I like using the diesel minnow, and this one is actually called redfish toad. Really nice color, got a lot of gold in it. Better take this call. That one's got some staying power. Right on the current scene. Hello, chunker. Just fat.
All fat.
First day of spring. They're springing into action. I'm using 51 or 54 watts of power, just kind of slowly slinking my way up this bank, trying to stay close to it because I think the strike zone is pretty close to the bank. There's a lot of current out away from it, and these little long skinny eddies along the bank where we've been catching them, and there's no point in having most of your cast out in the strong current on this side. If you have many short casts close to the bank, it's you just have more productive time. You got your bait in a high percentage area for longer, making many short casts as opposed to fewer long ones out away from the bank. Keep it short, but lots of casts. One of the reasons why I like to have my rods down, and you'll see it here in a minute, I have rod holders with them pointed backwards instead of putting them straight up. That allows me to go under these branches. I got a couple right here that I wouldn't be able to fish right where I'm at now if I had rods sticking straight up. So horizontal rod storage is something that's pretty critical. On a lake, it allows you to keep sliding underneath the docks instead of going around them. And here in this case with these buds that are about to fall, these branches, it allows me to stay close to the bank, close to the high percentage retrieval zone. Long skinny eddies along the bank. That's where they're chewing.